Now let's start on Friday. That's when the Asia-Europe meeting, also known as ASEM, opened up here in Beijing. It was the group's first summit since it grew to 45 members 2 years ago. Delegates drew up action plans to deal with global economic and social development, as well as with the current financial crisis. The two-day dialogue mechanism focused world attention on the host country, China, once again.
Another important event for China after the Olympics. On Friday, over 40 leaders of states and organizations of the Asia-Europe meeting gathered in Beijing. Their two-day mission? To further development under the theme Vision and Action toward a win-win solution.
Given the current situation, Asia and Europe should make better use of this platform to increase dialogue, expand consensus, enhance trust and deepen cooperation. We should make full use of our strong economic complementarity to deepen existing cooperation and to develop new areas of cooperation.
On Saturday, members issued a chair's statement agreeing to promote political dialogue, advance economic cooperation, drive sustainable development, and further social and cultural exchanges. The 45-member ASEM, established in 1996, is a high-level forum between governments of Asia and Europe. The Asian Party is composed of the 10 ASEAN member countries and China, Japan, South Korea, Mongolia, India, Pakistan, and the ASEAN Secretariat. The European Party is composed of the 27 EU member countries and the EU Commission. The numbers make ASEM the largest of the world's regional cooperative mechanisms. The combined population of its members accounts for 58% of the world's total, joint GDP 51% of the world's total, and foreign trade volume 60%. The summit comes at a time when the financial tsunami from Wall Street is sweeping nations in Europe and Asia. Economists say ASEM gives leaders a chance to talk about their own troubles and collective measures to stem the tide.
That it's extremely important right now to get cooperation among the major economies in the world. And so China and Europe talking together and coordinating policy is a very good thing. The financial situation is more complicated. European financial system is quite open, and it's pretty badly hurt by the financial crisis that started in the United States. China has a more closed capital account financial system, which I think is appropriate for a developing country.
At the second London ASEM in 1998, the participants decided to set up the Asia-Europe Trust Fund, which served to help Asian countries to overcome the Asian financial crisis. 10 years later, leaders used the Beijing summit as a platform to conduct in-depth discussions on extending cooperation, reinforcing investor confidence, and coping with difficulties.
The financial crisis is a confidence crisis. At this summit, Asia and Europe are showing each other a supportive attitude. Their experience in 1998 and their common understanding on the issue are positive signs for investors in the two continents and the global economy.
At the beginning of this month, China, South Korea, Japan, and the ASEAN countries speeded up the creation of an $80 billion fund to safeguard regional financial stability. At the suggestion of EU leaders, the U.S. will host a world summit to address the issue, scheduled for November the 15th. French President Nicolas Sarkozy and EC President José Manuel Barroso have said one of their aims at ASEM is to convince the Asian powers to take part in that global summit.
Now let's stay with ASEM right there. A Spanish diplomat once said that APEC gathers together state leaders from both sides of the Pacific, while the Asia-Europe meeting gathers together countries with long cultural histories and pulls together their wisdom to deal with the issue of globalization. Now today, ASEM's role cannot be overlooked, and its impact and influence is growing by the day. From its first convention to the present day, this young intercontinental forum has produced a series of important achievements in political dialogue, economic cooperation, and not forgetting cultural exchange.
The idea for the Asia-Europe meeting was initiated by Singapore in 1994, when the European Commission called for more dialogue with Asia to build stable intercontinental partnerships. In the past 12 years, ASEM came up with several framework documents to promote economic and trade cooperation. On top of that, a number of consultation and exchange mechanisms were set up.
The most typical characteristics of the Asia-Europe meeting is the full-scale cooperation. ASEM enhances cooperation in three key aspects: political dialogue, trade development, and cultural exchange. Everything benefiting both Asia and Europe can be done.
Asia-Europe cooperation contributes toward the formation of a new world political and economic order. As the two economic spheres of Asia and Europe do not exclude cooperation between Europe and America and between Asia and America, ASEM places stress on multilateral planning of open regionalism. This allows it to promote coordination and competition between America, Europe, and Asia, and stimulate steady development of the world economy.
As it has progressed, ASEM has made the Asia-Europe relationship closer and closer. What influence does it exert on the world structure or world system? I think there are several aspects of strategic importance. First, promoting multipolarization in the world. Second, stimulating economic globalization. Asia-Europe cooperation has enhanced the voice of Asia and raised the status of Asia. Third, speeding up the integration of East Asia.
As one of the founders of ASEM, China has always taken a positive attitude towards Asia-Europe cooperation. China and the EU conduct political dialogue through various channels. They've held annual summits for 10 years. Recent custom figures show that the EU remained China's largest trading partner for the first 9 months of 2008, with bilateral trade amounting to $322.5 billion, up 26% year-on-year.
We can see three new aspects. China has carried out its policy of reform and opening up for 30 years. 1996 was an important turning point. In that year, China began to change its attitude towards participation in multilateral organizations. Before that, we had stressed bilateral relations. More than 10 years have passed. In our diplomatic affairs, we're becoming mature step by step. Now we pay much attention to the multilateral stage. Second, China not only participates in multilateral organizations, but also has begun to participate in the design and formulation of international mechanisms and guidelines. And last, China is a large country with great strength.
Analysts say ASEM has proven itself as a major mechanism of dialogue and cooperation. And Asia and Europe will have to build on that foundation as they face increasingly complicated challenges in the years to come.
An EU official has said that a healthy partnership doesn't mean a unanimous view on all problems. Instead, cooperation in fields where there are differences is also important. The real potential of the Asia-Europe meeting is that it can help promote coordination of all different kinds of interests. For both Asia and for Europe, this can only be a win-win situation.